Rainbow Six Siege is kicking off the Year 3 content strong with a new co-op mode, operators, cosmetics, balances, and bug fixes. In this game review, I will be showing you straight up gameplay and explain what the free update includes. Alright guys, let's jump right into Operation Chimera. Outbreak is an eerie but memorable twist from the original game. UBIs? We're just gonna look this up.
Ubisoft.
I mean, since it is French, I think we're just gonna go with Ubisoft. Anyways, Ubisoft created a 3-person co-op alien mode that will last for 27 days. The backstory is that a space capsule crashed from New Mexico. While the capsule was crashing, this guy just happened to see it and drove to it. Without knowing what it was, the capsule infected him and spread to his little town. Within 3 days, the hospital was full of infected people, and the doctors and nurses knew nothing about what was going on. The guy that we saw drive to the crash zone appeared in the hospital and then was turned into the first zombie-like creature, thus killing all the people in the hospital. And then we go to Ash on the phone calling in backup from the Rainbow Six operators, only 7 days after the initial crash. After the mini-movie, you then choose from your very limited selection of operators and go on your way slaughtering the infected while doing missions. Before we get too far, we have to learn about the enemies that we will be facing. We have 5 enemies that will be scattered throughout the missions depending on what level and what difficulty you are on. The most common enemy are the grunts. Don't take them for granted. When they detect you, they will become much tougher, sprouting extra armor that makes them resistant to bullets. Then we have the breachers. They are highly agile enemies with proximity bombs made on their backs. Breachers can also destroy walls and launch themselves from great distances, so beware. A tricky but not so common enemy would have to be the rooters. They send waves of spikes at you that deal damage and temporarily immobilize operators caught in the path. With little health, they get more dangerous, so be careful and use teamwork to kill these guys. Oh, and did I mention they can teleport too? The tank of the group would be the smashers. With a rock solid skin, you won't be able to damage these guys from the front. There is a weak spot that you can shoot and or melee to kill this guy from the back. Like the breachers, smashers can also tear down walls, but smashers won't take any damage from it. Finally, we have the apex. The apex is the toughest form of the outbreak. It sets waves on you and your teammates rather than attacking you on its own. They also lob blinding projectiles that can only be countered by Finka and Doc. It would be best to use teamwork for these guys. Pro tip, if you need a reload and you're surrounded by grunts, just melee to give yourself time and then smite those nerds. Since we know the enemies, let's learn where you will be killing these things. There are 3 locations for the Outbreak mode: Resort, Hospital, and Junkyard. Resort is all about fighting through the hotel complex to blow up the nursery that is being developed by the parasites. Once you locate the 3 weak points, you will plant explosives and protect them until the timer runs out. For the next part, you will have to save Jaeger, who has crashed his helicopter just outside a car dealership. The mission settles within the dealership, where you have to ford up and kill waves of grunts and the tougher enemies you find in the game. Hospital is my personal favorite because it's all about close combat and scurrying around the corridors to escort a VIP from inside. It's really plain and simple, but executed very well. The last map is Junkyard. You start out with the objective needing to pick up thermal charges. After you run a gun, you have to clear the house. Once clearing the house, you set the charges and defend them. Hordes of enemies come charging at you in the charges. Next, you will need to activate the crane before you can move on. The crane will take its time, so just chill out and kill some more hordes. Finally, you'll get to the OG ground zero for the infection. Then you will place 3 charges, but you're able to reinforce the place so infection doesn't burst through the walls. The next subject on the list is the operators. There are 2 new operators, Finka and Lion. Unlike the usual 1 defense and 1 attacker, they made both of these attackers. Now let's get more in depth. Lara Finka Melnikova. She is a microbiologist that has almost perfected the craft of nanobots. With her special ability, you will be able to deliver drugs to teammates, providing a temporary boost for health, a bump in speed, and reduction in recoil, and the operators in the revival stage will be revived. The primary guns you can choose for her are the new Spear .308 rifle, the SASG-12 shotgun, and the SP-41 light machine gun. The sidearms will include the PMM and the GSH-18. The major side effect for her adrenal surge, our Pulse's heartbeat sensor will easily pick up boosted teammates, and Smoke's toxic gas will lead to increased damage. Olivier Lion Flamand. Lion is the second operator coming to us. His ability is EE1 D-Drone, and it will scan and tag every enemy in real time. Defending operators cannot be noticed if they are standing still, although they can shoot, look around, lean, and aim. Another tip is if Mute has a jammer out, you can free roam as long as you're in the radius. Lion will be able to use this ability 3 times in a round with a short cooldown. The primary guns you will be able to choose from are the new V308 submachine gun, the 417 marksman rifle, and the SG-CQB. Lion's secondaries will be the P9 and the LFP586. Now it's time for the cosmetics. Since there are 15 skins, 5 charms, 15 character skins, and 14 headgears, I won't go through every single one, I'll just let it zip by on the screen. You can get these through the Outbreak packs. Before we reach the end, we have balancing of operators. Ella was clearly too powerful, so her recoil was increased and the damage was reduced. The deployable shield will also replace her impact grenades. For Capcan, impact grenades will replace his barbed wires. Since Blitz has been getting gains at the gym, he will now be a 2-speed and 2 armor operator. Finally, we have the bug fixes. With all 80+ bug fixes, I will not be explaining each. I would recommend putting this next part on 0.25 speed if you want to see them. Here they are. Now it's time for my thoughts. I personally liked everything that came out of Operation Chimera, but I could see why other people have their disagreements with me. I really don't like how Outbreak will be a temporary thing, especially for being only 27 days. For that, I will rate Operation Chimera a 6 out of 10.